the way you
Yeah.
want to live your life is mastered by your own self.
I'm just over here realizing how good of an employee I could be because I don't need or want a job. And, you know, found this cafe and, overhearing people doing interviews and stuff like that. And, just reminiscent because I read a lot and I skim a lot of stuff online. And, if you go on LinkedIn or whatever, where most people are, looking for opportunities and things like that. And some of just the things that business owners and management and, human relations talk about. And one in particular, I've been talking about him a lot lately, Gary Vaynerchuk, because I've been watching his videos and I'm highly suggestible, and that's one of the reasons why I focus on certain things. But he talks about hire quickly because you really don't know, but promote also quickly and fire quickly because you don't know who you're hiring. Really, people put on a front, and that's the one thing that I'm getting at really right here is that people say, yeah, I really want to be in this job, and I'm going to be here for, I have a 5-year plan, and here are my 3 references, and you can prep those people before the references, and then you do this interview. It's like dating too, right? I talked about this before as well, how people put on a front, and then and it's like gotcha, and then they completely change, which I think is really a stupid way to be. It's just be who you are, and if the person likes you, they like you. If they don't, you don't. Like I think that it's kind of the height of desperation in dating to fake who you are just to get somebody, and that's not really who you are because it can't be sustained long term. And I think it's similar in having a job too. I understand it's different in some ways, although really not that much because people are just as desperate for jobs as they are for relationships. So this place, I never had fresh squeezed pineapple before. And now it's like sugar straight to the dome. I just walked half an hour, almost exactly 30 minutes, and I found this cafe. I had to drop my car off to get 2 front axles replaced on it, and that was about 10:30 this morning, and from 11 until now, about 10 minutes earlier, I just finally got here. Anyway, but that's the thing about the getting a job and sort of desperation and dating and how they're related, which I'll wrap up with my last point about that, which I find fascinating too, is there's a book called The No BS Wealth Attraction for Entrepreneurs by Dan Kennedy. And years ago when I read that book, I remember, just like many times in my life, because I've mostly been an independent contractor, and the new term is gig worker and digital nomad and all that other stuff like that. And so there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of uncertainty with that. There's a lot of uncertainty when you're hustling and you have a lot of side gigs, and that's basically how you earn your living. And so there was this one point where I really needed to come up with a couple months of rent for a house I was living in. I was renting a room from a friend, and his cousin was the owner of the house, I thought, but it turned out he wasn't paying the rent for a couple months, and for whatever reason, they're good guys. And then we went to the next house, and then I ran into some issues. And I remember, out of all of the things, because Dan Kennedy is one of those practical guys. I mean, he still does direct mail marketing, and he does copywriting, and he does a lot of old school stuff mixed with a lot of the different new technological advances. I'm pretty sure he's probably using AI. I haven't looked at Dan Kennedy stuff, but the point I'm getting about that is that his book is full of practical stuff, and a lot of them are for business owners who have some capital and resources, and pretty much almost everything in the book costs money to do, except for one that I found, which is a little bit more psychological and metaphysical. And it was this one wealth magnet, as they're called in the book, in the No BS Wealth Attraction for Entrepreneurs. And this wealth magnet was independence, and basically he said that one of the things that comes from being, wealthy, having money, is the financial independence. Something that Gary Vaynerchuk calls optionality. I've never heard that term before, Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if it's even in the lexicon, or if he made it up, or if it really is. I do pride myself on having a decent vocabulary, but it gives you that optionality, that freedom. And so he figured, what if I reverse engineer that? What if I just act as if I already have that independence and freedom, sort of like in the same way, relating this back to the idea of courting and dating, right? Where the person hasn't been dating for a while and they might feel desperate and they're chasing, and they're giving off this desperate kind of energy. And so that is repulsive. And it's the same thing to money, that if you're like desperate to make a sale, and people can feel that, and you're trying to get it in like a job, and like you're desperate, it's somewhat repulsive. But if you really can, well, like me, like I don't care, I don't want one, I don't need one, and if you can put on that same feeling, like you can embody that, then that is a wealth magnet, because that is attractive to money, because that's one of the things that money that comes with that, is the independence, the freedom, the optionality, that some people call it FU money. Even if you don't have FU money, if you have FU stability, if you can embody that, you're not putting off that repulsive kind of energy in dating and towards money specifically. And I remember when I did that, the most amazing thing happened. I don't remember what it was. It was something around $70,000 that came to me within a month of doing that, and it was pretty incredible. Now, it didn't end up working out the way that I wanted it to exactly, but I got to pay off my rent. I got to pay off a bunch of other stuff. I went to go out on a date with a nice girl, and then I'm still here. Everything worked out. So, all in all, it was a great thing. But the thing is that I acted as if I was really confident, and I was doing work for it too. I had a contract with a company in China, so and this is way before I even moved to go live in China too. So this was back in, I have to say 2011 or 12, sometime around there. But that's the thing. Is I found that I would be a really good candidate for a job because I don't need or want one, and that I could relax into whatever I'm doing, which is why I've always been so energetic and always so pumped up about working and doing film and TV gigs. Like, I'm always excited no matter what. Like, if I get hired to work in the art department, even if it's in the lowest level as a prop assistant, just lugging stuff around and moving things around on set, and not being a set designer, set dresser, art director, prop master, none of that stuff. Just dressing the set, just prop assistant, just doing what they have. Like, every single time I'm always excited, and it's because of perspective. And I do realize that in some ways it's because I'm just really grateful just to be able to do that kind of work. It's just really awesome. All this time later, from the first music video I did with Trina called Pull Over back in 99 or 2000, and it's 25 years later, and every time I get a gig like that, I'm still just as happy as can be. It feels like I'm at the top of the world. It's the most amazing feeling. So the lesson to wrap this up is that when you put off desperate energy, no matter how much you really actually do need something, sometimes I don't think it always works out to be the best. A lot of times the relaxed and authentic, integral, just being who you really are instead of putting on a front and just coming with what you actually have is much better than trying to fake it and lie your way into a job or a relationship. And one of the ways to do that is to always be prepared. I'm constantly studying. If it's not reading, I'm listening to podcasts or watching educational videos. I exercise constantly. I walk. I do research onto that. I listen to people. I listen to my body, and I'm just honest with myself about what actually is happening, even if I don't share that with anybody else. Which sometimes, if you look at my history, of how many podcasts and websites I have, you would think that I overshare, but it's nowhere close to it. That's the one thing I share with certain other people that I know who are succeeding in the world, is that it may look like I put out a lot. I am a huge producer, but that comes from me being a really high level observer, and that's the thing, and that helps you to prepare. Be prepared, be yourself, be real, and a lot of things really come to you. Those whole ideas of things that I heard called attraction marketing and magnetic marketing, and the wealth magnets and a lot of stuff like that, and the law of attraction. There's a truth to that, psychologically, metaphysically, and materially. The energy that you give off, that confidence from being prepared and not being desperate, but knowing that you have something that you can contribute, that goes a very long way.